Hey, what's going on, Who That Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And hopefully whatever happened on the last live don't happen again. Thank you all for tuning in. This is a special Super Bowl edition of the State of the Saints podcast. Before I get started, I just want to say congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs on winning the Super Bowl. First time the Kansas City Chiefs have won the Super Bowl in 50 years. And also, I want to say congratulations to Andy Reid. You know, regardless if you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan or not, rather, you like the team, you have to be happy for Andy Reid, a guy who has been a head coach in the league for a long time. And, just been one of those coaches that get a team there, get them close, but just never got to the big game. Well, he got to the big game, never won it. So Andy Reid deserves to win this game. And you can tell it meant a lot to him. I mean, I was kind of afraid for him because, when he got interviewed by Chris Myers after the game, he was like, I'm kind of in shock or whatever like that. He was like, I'm trying to keep calm because of my heart. And I was like, man, I hope Andy Reid don't pass out on his field. To him, man. Congratulations to Andy Reid. Congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs. It was a good team performance, man. It took everybody. It took a team effort to knock off the San Francisco 49ers. And, it was one of those games where you really didn't know who was going to win. The Kansas City Chiefs showed a lot of resolve. Patrick Mahomes didn't play his best game. I mean, he had like 2 crucial turnovers in a game. And I'm going to be honest with you, I thought the game was over, especially when he threw that second interception when they were threatening and they were getting close to the red zone. But, the team, they did their thing, man. They played as a team and they had a little bit of luck. I'm going to be honest with you. That pass that he threw to Tyreek Hill, that I kind of feel like that was kind of a prayer, and a prayer was answered. But they did what they had to do in order to win the football game. Cisco 49ers, I feel like, they were in this game. They had a lot of swag, a lot of confidence, talking a lot of trash. People like Nick Bosa and stuff getting in the face of offensive line. There's this saying, they say that you have to keep your words soft and sweet before you have to eat them. And that's definitely what happened. They were talking a lot of noise out there, but they had to end up, paying for it in the end. The 49ers are a really good football team. They are going to be contenders for years to come. The way that team is structured, a lot of young players, and, they're going to be back in that game, and they're going to be a threat to anybody in the NFC in the near future. Jimmy Garoppolo had a lot of unanswered questions. But I'll tell you what, Jimmy Garoppolo, man, he's going to be a problem in a couple of years. Rather you like this guy or not, Jimmy Garoppolo was out there balling out of control, man. He was out there handling up on his business. He was doing his thing. And rather you like him or not, that man was out there balling. He probably was one of the best things about the 49ers tonight. Unbelievable stuff, man. But I think we got to address the elephant in the room when it comes to the San Francisco 49ers. And that's Kyle Shanahan. You got to call it for what it is. He's looking like the biggest choke artist in Super Bowl history. I mean, your team is up by 10 points going, I think, maybe late into the fourth quarter. Your team just got their second turnover, and you can't call the plays in order to get your team in a position for a possible field goal or a touchdown. And a lot of people are saying, well, this is his first Super Bowl. Well, it's not. Because you have to remember that he was the offensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons, and you remember when those Atlanta Falcons were up 28-3 on the New England Patriots. Kyle Shanahan, his team, his offense was the one that was out there. So you have to say that maybe Kyle Shanahan is by far one of the biggest choke artists in the history of Super Bowls. But I mean, it was a good effort, good season by the San Francisco 49ers. Thought they were going to pull it off, but it just shows you that, they can win in so many different ways, need be, Kansas City Chiefs came into the game trying to stop the run, and, they tried to put it in the hands of Jimmy Garoppolo, and Jimmy Garoppolo almost delivered. It was a few plays, here and there that cost them the game. For example, that offensive pass interference by George Kittle. I mean, that was a clutch throw in the first half by Jimmy Garoppolo that would have possibly set up a field goal and would have gave the 49ers the lead going into the half, but they end up going into the half with a tie. But congratulations once again to the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going to open the floor up to you all. Once again, this is a special Super Bowl edition. I mean, you can ask You can ask your questions or give comments about the New Orleans Saints. Of course, this is the State of the Saints podcast. Or you can also talk about the Super Bowl. And also, the phone lines is open. The phone line is open. You can dial 504-354-0165. That's 504-365. Hold on, let me see. Hold on. It's a new number. I think it's 504. Okay, 504-354-0165. Okay, 504-354-0165. So if you got any questions that you want to ask or you want to talk about New Orleans Saints or you want to give comments about the Super Bowl, you can at this time. All right, got it. Hello, who's this? What's going on, Iceman? How you doing, man? I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that, Iceman. And yeah. Okay, man. Man, why is that? Why is that? Right, right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Right. Man, okay. Okay. What you mean by that? Mm-hmm. Right. 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 Mm-hmm. Right. Right. Okay. Hold on one second. Hold on one second, Ice Man. I want to know if anybody can hear this. Okay, they're saying they can't hear it. Hold on. I'm gonna have to set it up so they can't hear the background. I think. Hold on one second. All right, so they can't hear. They can't hear what you're saying. Hold on. I gotta set it. I gotta set it up. They're saying that they can't hear you, and I don't know if I don't know if I got the live connected to it. Um. Okay. Well, I'm gonna just I just let them know what you said, man. I'm gonna have to set it. I'm gonna have to set it up, and once I set it up, I'll let you get a call back. All right. Thank you, Ice Man. All right. I'm sorry about that, everybody. Me and Ice Man was having a conversation. He was talking about Sean Payton and some of the things that he wanted to implement, and he was saying that it wasn't, on, actual and factual. You know what I'm saying? For example, he wanted to run the football, but he wanted to, transition to a, say he basically turned it into an air raid type offense, with a 41-year-old quarterback. And he was saying that, Sean Payton word ain't really bond. And he was referring to a podcast that I put out. I put out the audio podcast of the State of the Saints, and I want you all to check that out when you get an opportunity. And I was saying, I kind of trust Sean Payton's word for what he was saying. And, like I understand that Sean Payton, he gets away from a lot of things, but for the most part, he has been generating success with this team over the last 3 seasons. I mean, since 2017, the New Orleans Saints have been one of the winningest franchises and winningest teams in the NFL. So, I mean, you can't argue with those type of results. And, I just have to say, I completely understand. I mean, I say this all the time. I think they need to run the football. But at the end of the day, I think that Sean Payton can, if he wanted to, because I mean, he proved that he can run the football with Teddy Bridgewater when he was the quarterback. You know what I'm saying? When Teddy Bridgewater was the quarterback, the Saints were running the football. I mean, Latavius Murray averaged about 159 yards from scrimmage, and and they play really good defense. So he can run the football if he wants to run the football. I just feel like he falls in love with Drew Brees, and he knows what Drew Brees can do, and he knows Drew Brees can get the ball down the field. He knows Drew Brees is going to make limited mistakes. And also, Iceman was talking about having a quarterback lined up, because of Drew Brees possibly retiring. He's saying that he fell in love with Taysom Hill as the gadget guy. The only thing I would say about that is I think when he looked at Taysom, I think he looked at he can do a whole lot of things. I think that when he looks at him, I think he possibly can see a future quarterback. Is he the quarterback of the future? Is he going to be the one to take the Saints, into the future and beyond? That remains to be seen. But he does say that he sees him as a starting quarterback, and I think we owe Taysom Hill, a look before we go out here and talk all this noise and say this man ain't it. I mean, you can say that he a gadget guy, but that's all Sean Payton has put him in position to do. I mean, and you have to know that Sean Payton has seen this guy practice, and maybe he puts him in different situations that we do not see in order for him to come to the conclusion to believe that he can be a starting quarterback. So all I'm saying is we got to give people credit, man. I understand how people may feel about, Taysom Hill. I understand how you may feel about, him not really knowing that much about him, only seeing him line up in special teams, line up at the tight end, doing RPOs. And you're probably just saying, man, maybe he ain't it. But at the end of the day, he hasn't shown us that he's not it. Okay, he hasn't shown us that he's it, and he has not shown us that he's not it. So get a man the benefit of the doubt, before we just cast him away. I don't want it to be one of those situations where, we just look down the line and be like, why we let this guy go? And when he was in the locker room. So, I mean, and honestly, the Saints can't solve this issue right here. I mean, they can easily just draft a quarterback. I mean, they can draft a quarterback in the first round. If Taysom Hill doesn't work out, then you can possibly have somebody else lined up. Okay, I mean, it's not that hard. It's not that complicated. If you think that Taysom Hill isn't that guy, which I don't think the Saints think that way, but if you don't think that he's that guy, you can easily draft somebody else and groom him. And if Drew Brees decides to come back this season and Taysom Hill don't pan out, you still can get this other quarterback that you drafted early to go out there and perform well. So, I mean, that's the way that I see it. I mean, I trust Sean Payton. Does Sean Payton make me frustrated? Absolutely. Sean Payton, really does frustrate me. I think he's one of the most arrogant coaches that the NFL has ever seen. I think he always thinks that he's right. I think that he always thinks that, his play calling is the best way. I think sometimes he gets in his own way. But at the end of the day, the Saints are generating results, and that's wins, man. And that's what it's all about. I mean, he has to run the football. He has to do that much better. That's just a fact. You got to run the football. If you're not running the football, then you most likely are going to probably win a lot of games because you're a good play caller, but you're not going to get over the hump. There's no way around it. There's no way around it, folks. If you're not successfully running the football, you're not winning nothing. That's my point. Sean has really done a disservice to the receivers in the quarterback situation. Think about it, TJ. He called the man Steve Young. Would you have Steve Young returning punts? I think not. Iceman T, check this out. I mean, if he has the tendency of returning a punt, okay, if he has the tendency of returning a punt, why not? Okay, I mean, he's not the starting quarterback. He's not going to be the starting quarterback. And to quite honest with you, with the interview with Sean Payton, I'm only telling you what he said. Okay, the Saints were limited when they were going to play in a game, and they had so many people on special teams. So because they had Taysom out there, he asked Taysom, you know what I'm saying, to be on special teams. And that was the game where Taysom Hill blocked that punt. And the rest is history right there. I mean, so the guy goes out there like the first time him playing special teams ever, and he goes out there and make a play. Why in the world would you not put him in that position? And then all of a sudden you see that he can do all these other different things because he's an athlete. Why not line him up? You know, so and then in the process, you know, he's still learning and developing as a quarterback. So, I mean, Taysom Hill, you probably were talking to him and probably saying, man, hey, Taysom, you can do all these great things right here, you know, but, you know, we would like for you to do this, and we got these packages for you. Now, let's just think about this for a second. You're a quarterback, but you're a quarterback that's extremely athletic. You know, you can do all these different things, but you're a backup quarterback. Not to mention you're a backup, but you're a backup to the backup. Okay, but there's a possibility for you to actually take the field. You can actually take the field. Okay, you can take the field, and why would you want to turn that down? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Like, why would you want to do that? You have opportunity to be on the field no matter what. The point is you want to get out there and you want to play. But I mean, don't take my word for it. Just look at how he's been playing. Look how he's been playing and how he has developed at the quarterback position. I mean, his accuracy as a passer has improved. You know what I'm saying? His decision making has improved. Like, we don't know what he can bring to the table. It's easy for us to just dismiss him and say, oh man, he's not the guy, he's not the answer. It's so easy for us to say that, but we haven't seen this guy yet. See, that's why I was talking about in the podcast. We're so quick in the Who Dat Nation to dismiss people we don't understand, or things that we don't understand. We dismiss people before they can even do anything. And the people that do anything, if they do one thing wrong for about 1 or 2 weeks, all of a sudden we want to trade the guy. We want to get rid of the guy. We want the guy to go down on the depth chart. I mean, come on, man, get a guy a chance. But I will say this. I will agree to a certain extent with something that Iceman said. He was saying that that they're doing a disservice to the wide receivers. That I completely agree with, because I'm going to tell you this. I don't necessarily agree that they're doing a disservice because of the presence of not putting Taysom Hill in. But I will say this. They're doing a disservice to the wide receivers by not implementing packages for these guys. I feel like Sean Payton gets a little arrogant. He looks at these guys that he knows that are the playmakers on his team, and he just basically can concentrate all of his focus on those guys. He doesn't worry about all the other guys that's a part of the offense that can possibly make plays. You know, it's so easy for the Saints. I mean, it's easy for people to game plan against the Saints, in my opinion, because all you have to do is just zoom in on maybe a few, maybe 2-3 playmakers on the offensive side of football. Because you know that Traquan Smith isn't going to do much. You know Ted Jr. isn't going to do much. You know that Keyshawn Hogan is not going to do much, or Lil Jordan Humphreys. You know these guys aren't going to do much. So why should you take all your time trying to focus on these guys? I feel like when it comes to the players like Lil Jordan Humphreys and Traquan Smith and Ted Jr., you're doing a disservice to them because you're not implementing these guys into the offense. I don't feel like Sean Payton takes enough time to focus on some of these players and utilize some of their strengths. And honestly, if he is utilizing some of their strengths, he's not elevating these guys and taking them to the next level. It reminds me of the 2009, 2010 when you had role guys. Okay, he treats the Saints offense like a basketball team. You know how it is, right? You know you got your stars. Okay, you got let's just say, for example, right? Let's look at the Pelicans, for example, right? You know Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, and Drew Holiday most likely are going to be the scorers of the team, right? And then you got what you call him? You got Lonzo out there, dishing the ball off. You know what I'm saying? That's a role. But then you got people like JJ Redick can play decent defense and shoot threes. He's a role player at the end of the day. So I feel like the Saints do the same thing. You have your stars who are the Kamaras and the Cooks and the Thomases of the world. Those are your stars. And then you have your role players, the guys that just go out there that just serve as blockers or serve as guys that get other cornerbacks out of the picture so his stars can make plays. As long as you're doing stuff like that, you're not going to be successful. You're not going to maximize your offense. So I do feel like there's an issue with that, Iceman. I really do. I feel like he is handicapping his team by not allowing some of these other players to shine and implementing plays for these guys to be successful. I fail to believe that Sean Payton, as great of a play caller, he has shown to be, that he cannot get these guys involved. I just believe that he just does not want to do that. I just don't. Let's see. I'm down with Taysom Hill. He already a star, and I think he can do the job. Like I said, the jury is out, Derek. That's all I'm saying. I give people the benefit of the doubt. I can't just sit up here and just say, oh, he ain't it, because, I just believe he ain't it. I mean, he got to show me something. If he go out there and he just stinking it up every single week, then I'll be like, nah, that ain't it, bro. But I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. That's right. We need somebody who can use his arm and legs to help the team win. Man, let me tell y'all something right now. If the Super Bowl didn't prove to you all what a guy with his arm and his leg can do, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, how many times did Patrick Mahomes have to scramble out of the pocket when the defense was, getting close to him? I mean, sometimes you got to go out there and you got to make plays. And I think that's one element that the Saints is missing. And, with Taysom Hill, you can do stuff like that, man. I mean, the Baltimore Ravens proved that you can win games like this. You can utilize a quarterback's arm and his leg. So, I mean, like I said, I'm reserving my judgment on the Taysom Hill situation. The Saints are not generating results, TJ. We want results, and not just in the playoffs, my guy. Iceman, I don't want to say they ain't generating results, because, like I said, for the last 3 seasons, they won more regular season games than any other team. The only problem is they're not getting where they need to be. Excuse me, they're not getting where they need to be when it comes to the playoffs. I mean, they went 13-3 for 2 straight years. I mean, so they're generating results. It's about maximizing, their potential. That's what the issue is, in my opinion. I mean, I respect what you're saying, Iceman, but I feel like maximizing the potential is the most important thing. That is what's important. Let's see. True Louisiana says the time he got throw the ball, he did great, had beautiful passes. Yeah. I mean, that's all you can go by, what you see. Mr. E. Jones, if the Saints are trying to get to the Super Bowl, they need to run the ball at least 25 to 30 times a game. Man, I agree with that, E. And that's my brother right there, man. Shouts out to Mr. E. Jones. Absolutely agree, man. They do need to run the football just a little bit more. Well, not a little bit more, a whole lot more. I don't know what's wrong with me for saying a whole lot more. They need to run the ball. Let's see. Game recognized game. I like talking football with you, TJ. You know your stuff. Also, I subscribe to State of the Game. Got my whole family watching. Man, thank you, man. Ice, man, I promise you. Oh, man, next time I'm going to try to work some of those kinks out. Like I said, man, I mean, I was doing that through Skype, and I know I got to find – I never took phone calls through YouTube live before. So I don't know exactly how to do that right now, but I go over it, and maybe next time, ain't no next time. I mean, ain't no maybe. It will be next time. I'll be able to take calls and stuff like that. I'll figure it out. Let's see. Where my boy Big Q at? Big Q. I don't know what that is. We need to draft a wide receiver, cornerback, middle linebacker, and another offensive lineman. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I agree. But the linebacker situation, man, the Saints got some good linebackers, man. You just couldn't tell because they were hurt. I mean, Caden Ellis, this guy was drafted in the 7th round out of Idaho. and this guy made the starting rotation before he got hurt, man. He got put on IR. I think that he is going to be really good. I think he's going to be a really good young linebacker. What I seen from him while he was out there playing, he was making plays. He was all over the field. So I'm interested to see how he's going to pan out in year 2. I'm interested in that. As far as the wide receiver, absolutely. Offensive lineman, yeah, I think so. Let's see. No disrespect in his decision to put him in on punts. I'm just saying that's kind of reckless to do with a guy you're calling your future. Well, Iceman, I agree with what you're saying. I get it. You trying to protect your investment, but man, you got to think about it too, man. Like, think about this. Let's just say, for example, what I'm saying, you are, a stocky guy. Let's just say, for example, okay, you was an offensive lineman, right? You was an offensive lineman, and let's just say you played for the Saints, and then Sean came to you and was like, all right, Ice man, look, this is what we need you to do. We need you to move from the offensive line. We got a package. We got a package for you on the offensive side of the football, man. What you think about that? You know what I'm saying? And then you like, oh, no, I ain't gonna do that, man. I don't want to hurt myself. You're gonna be like, yeah, man, you're gonna try to maximize your potential. You're gonna try to find ways to be on the field any way that you possibly can to make help your team win. That's just the way that it goes. It's rather this or sit on the sidelines. Ice man, this guy was a backup to the backup. He's not like the backup quarterback. He's the backup to the backup. So if something was to happen to Drew Brees, he wouldn't even play. He wouldn't even play at all. And honestly, it's because of the depth that they have at the quarterback position he's even playing in the first place. Because you have to look at it, right? Okay, when Drew Brees went down, he wasn't playing that much. He wasn't. You know what I'm saying? They had to close down the playbook on him because they needed him just in case something happened with Teddy Bridgewater. So the way I look at it, it's just the fact that the Saints have so much depth. Honestly, if Drew comes back and he's the backup, you're probably not going to see Taysom as much as you once did. You're probably not going to see him that much no more because then he's going to have a increased role, and his role is going to be even more important. I just think that it's the fact that he's the third string quarterback, the reason why you see him so much. Taysom needs to be on the field right now. He is, but as an H-back, he is fast. He can catch. He can block. He is aggressive, perfect for the position. I still think he can be a good quarterback. Yeah, man, like I said, the jury is still out on that. The jury is still out. And once again, you can donate to the State of the Saints podcast by hitting the super chats down below. You can donate to the show. I appreciate everybody for, the donations over the past, few months or whatever like that, supporting the show. Thank you all so much. And also the new podcast, I ask that you all support the State of the Game podcast. It is a podcast where we talk about all of the hottest topics in sports. So I know a lot of Saints fans are fans of sports, teams, rather be, NBA teams, NFL teams. You want to hear those hot stories. The State of the Game is for you. I talked a little bit about Super Bowl 54. I talked about Tom Brady. Man, I talked about quite a few topics on the State of the Game podcast. So you all check it out. YouTube.com, search The State of the Game podcast. You got to put all that in. The State of the Game podcast. We all know Mike T was hurt in the Vikings game, but they still elected to pass on Payton, and the fact that Keyshawn Hogan caught one pass the next time he was seen in street clothes. I need answers. Well, the thing about Keyshawn Hogan, he ended up going on IR. Don't ask me why. I don't know. That was the reason why. That's the reason why you didn't see him. I do feel like, using guys like Lil Jordan Humphreys and stuff like that, I think you need to utilize these guys. I don't know why Sean continuously do that. I think he's doing these young guys a disservice. If you're not going to use these guys and these guys not the answer, then why you even have them on the field in the first place? It's I'm kind of puzzled by that. I'm kind of puzzled by that. I really am. Did you see that shot of Shakira and J-Lo at the end of the halftime show? No, I didn't, man. I didn't really see it. I was too busy eating some of my girl fried shrimp. Man, let me brag a little bit, bro. My girl threw down tonight. Okay, in the kitchen, bro, she threw down, man. She made some of the best hot wings and fried shrimp and rotel dip. Oh my goodness, man. I'm just upset that I was the only person eating this food. I'm dead serious right now, man. I had to tell my girl, man, like they had to be like the top 3 best meals that she done made, like since we've been together. I'm serious, man. Like she really did an outstanding job, man. I'm only upset that nobody else could have tasted this food. She did an outstanding job, but that's what I was doing around halftime. Did I catch the halftime show? Absolutely, man. I think it was a really good halftime show, man. You know, I'm not one of those people up here that, you know, always got to hate on everything that I see. I mean, I just think people are just ready to hate on stuff. You know, I think that Demi Lovato rendition of the national anthem was really good. I think it's probably was one of the second best national anthem I ever heard. I don't think nobody ever trumped Whitney Houston. I'm sorry. I think that the halftime show that J-Lo and Shakira pulled off was one of the best that I've seen in a while. And I just think that most people, they just get mad if Beyonce ain't performing at the Super Bowl. People are always trying to compare people to Beyonce. Oh, you know, when Jennifer Lopez came out there with the outfit on, with the black and gold outfit, yeah, people up there talking about when Beyonce came out there, like, who cares, man? Like, Beyonce can't perform at the Super Bowl every single year. Okay, we all love Beyonce. She's a great performer. You know, I understand people like her. You say anything negative about her, people ready to come out the trees, try to call you a hater, but it is what it is, man. Beyonce isn't the only talented artist in the world. I think that Jennifer Lopez and Shakira did an outstanding job. All things considered, people are talking about how Jennifer Lopez looked kind of stiff. I mean, a lady like 53, 54 years old, like, would you expect her to be moving around like she Patrick Mahomes on stage or something? You know what I'm saying? You expect her to be Chris Brown out there with, you know what I'm saying, with that type of energy? I mean, she's an older lady. I think for her age, she did an outstanding job. I mean, all these people out there hating, I don't think they can swing on the pole the way that she was doing. I don't think they can do what she did for the halftime show. I think she did a good job, man. You know, so I didn't see the ending, but I know people was talking about Shakira like poking her tongue out or something like that. I didn't catch that until I went to Twitter, but I thought it was a decent halftime show. Let's see. Statue of Liberty quarterbacks are coming to an end. Yeah, I agree, man. And it has a lot to do with the way the high school game is played. You know, high school coaches are teaching these guys how to be dual threat quarterbacks, RPOs, and all that kind of stuff, and come up with these exotic plays. They're trying to make football exciting for these young guys, and in the process, they're building these dual threat type quarterbacks. So these guys that stand in the statue, standing strong in the pocket, these guys are coming to an end. I'm not saying that there's not a place for the pocket passer, but he has to have the ability to run every now and then if the pocket breaks down. Let's see. To me, we need a number 2 receiver more than any position. Derek Tyler, I agree with you on that. You know, I do think the Saints need a number 2 receiver, but the thing about it, Derek, is this draft is so deep at receiver. You can find one in almost any round, and these guys will be able to start right away. I mean, this is a loaded draft, man. You got to probably think back. Maybe I think with that 2015 draft, then you had like Mike Evans and Odell Beckham Jr. and Brandon Cooks and all them other cats came up out there, and Sammy Watkins. You know, like guys like that, man. You know, like this is a deep draft of for wide receivers. So the Saints can definitely find a guy, and it don't have to just be in the first round. Let's see. The Saints probably will lose some people to free agency. I think Justin Jefferson in the first round makes a lot of sense. A lot of people, been talking about that over the past few podcasts that we've done. People have been bringing up Justin Jefferson out of LSU. I think that'll be a good look. I used to be kind of skeptical about LSU players coming to the Saints because I felt like, them having ties to Louisiana and the way that LSU was structured, like when Les Miles was there, a lot of guys were getting in trouble. Sometimes, you need guys to get away from those familiar territories and get away from those influences that can possibly stunt their growth, not only on the field, but in life. But the way that Ed Orgeron has these guys playing, I don't think that's an issue anymore. Seems like, he had these guys on the straight and narrow. You ain't really hearing anybody, getting kicked off the team or getting suspended or guys showing up late, and stuff like that, like when Les Miles was there. So I would like to see Justin Jefferson or another LSU Tiger wide receiver on the Saints team, or some other player. I would love to see that. I think that there's a lack of presence, of LSU players, that to play for the Saints. I think the only person that was there was I think Darrell was there for a little while. He was on the practice squad, and Will Clapp. Besides that, they don't really touch LSU players, which is really weird because if you look at different places around the country, you see players coming out of Stanford and California and Arizona and stuff. So you would think, excuse me, you think that the Saints would look in their region, but they're always going up there to Ohio. They love themselves some Ohio State players. But it just seems like they just don't have no love for LSU players. I just don't get it. We can draft the quarterback in a later round and have Breeze and Taysom teach him, and so he can play and other rookie quarterbacks. I don't know about that, man. I don't know if you can, this draft right here just seems like there's only a handful of quarterbacks, and most of those guys are probably going to go in the first round. Probably going to get your Joe Burrows and your Justin Herberts, your Jordan Loves, and and guys like that. You probably going and Tua Tagovailoa, can't forget about him. Probably going to get guys like that, in the first round, and then you probably have guys like late, like Jake Fromm and stuff like that might come along, but I don't think you're going to be able to get a guy who can possibly, if somebody gets hurt, can come in and just take the league by storm. I don't see that happening. So I feel like if the Saints don't try to get a quarterback in the first round, you just do better not even trying to get one at all. Let's see. CJ Gardner-Johnson has a bright future. Yeah, I agree. As long as he keep his head steady, he goes out there and he continues to play the way he does. He plays with amnesia the way that he does. I think that his future will be bright. The only problem that I would have with CJ Gardner-Johnson, if he end up getting a little stale and stagnant, and he just start coasting, that's a huge recipe for disaster. Let's see. Now we probably get a quarterback in later rounds and have Breeze and Taysom teach him. Let's see. Mrs. Jones is the next Gordon Ramsay. Yeah, you would think so, man. She's a really good cook, man, but she's a even better nurse practitioner, man. My girl, man, I love her to death, man. She's one of the smartest people that I ever met in my entire life. Extremely competitive, man. Like, she has a very quiet demeanor. You wouldn't even know she's in a room. But she's the best thing that ever happened to me. I tell you that right now, man. Motivates me, encourages me, allows me to do this, tells me to follow my dreams and supports me all the way, and then keep me fed in the process. So can't get mad at that, man. I love her to death, though. But she's outstanding, man. And also she's a lifesaver, man. I tell you that, couple months ago, I was in a hospital. I think it was around October. I think y'all know that. I was in there for pneumonia, but I also had like a rare case of anemia that you rarely see, and I was actually losing blood in the process. And the doctors were actually going to send me home. They were going to send me home from the hospital because they were going to treat me for the pneumonia and just send me on my way. But she started looking at my signs, my vital signs, and my blood count and stuff like that. And she noticed that it was dropping. And she encouraged the doctors and the staff at the hospital to keep me in there. And that's when they found out I had this rare form of anemia. So if I would have got sent home, 9 times out of 10, I probably would have died within within 2 days because I would have lost so much blood. So because she actually found that mistake and she wanted them to run some more tests on me, that was the reason how they found it. So not only is she a great cook, not only is she one of the smartest people I know, she's a lifesaver, and I love her for that. So, man, I have a blessing, a straight blessing. I know we talking about football, but that's my heart right there, man. I love her to death, man. She's definitely, her and my son Paxton are my motivation. They're the reason, I love doing this stuff. They're the reason why, I work, as hard as I possibly can because, one day I want to give them the future that I feel like they deserve. I feel like, we're all put on this earth to do great things. What you decide to do with the talents that God give you is up to you. And I feel like God put me on this earth to, talk to individuals, and also, use that gift. So I thank him for that. So my advice to anybody out there that's probably thinking about starting a podcast, I get that all the time. Go for it. I know sometimes it get a little rough, man, especially like when you starting out is rough because you might get like 2 or 3 people, looking at your stuff, and then you start looking at all I seen, all I got was 2 people watching it. But when you're passionate about something, don't even look at numbers. Like, don't look at numbers. Don't look at how, like how you receive. Just do it for the love, and everything else, will follow through. But if you just do something because you feel like you want to be an overnight success, you're going to get tired and you're going to walk away from it. And that's not just podcasting. That's what any passion that you have. So do it because you love it. Do it because you feel like God put you on this earth to do it. And I don't know if people are religious or not, whatever higher power you may believe in that, and the rest will follow. So that's my advice for y'all. Let's see. All right, bro, chill out, bro. I haven't ate nothing yet. I'm still at the airport. Hey, man, shouts out to my brother's wife, man, Keitra, man. She can cook too. She can throw down. That's my brother, Mr. E. Jones. Once again, he's in the chat, man. Good solid brother right there, man. Reason why I love sports as much as I do. Can we beat the Chiefs at home this COVID up season? I don't know. That remains to be seen. If Jordan Love falls to 24, you take him at all costs. That's what I'm saying, Invictus. We just saw what happened with Mahomes. I say Macomb. Shouts out to Macomb, Mississippi. He just needed coaching and mentorship from Alex Smith to develop into elite quarterback. Absolutely. That's a good way of thinking, Invictus. That's a very good comment. I agree 100%. Justin Jefferson for sure. What about the pass interference in the Super Bowl? Same player against P.J. Williams, but didn't get the call. Yeah, Ricardo, I seen that going around on the internet, man. I see that. Look, I think if you start watching the game and looking at some of these flags as a Saints fan, you just gonna get yourself all riled up, and you're gonna start, blood gonna just start boiling because you're gonna be like, man, why we couldn't get this call? So I just completely just suspended all thoughts of what I think about Bill Vinovich as a referee. I didn't even think about that, man. For the most part, I will say this: they did let them play. They went out there with the little ticky-tack calls. I only think they maybe threw 3 flags in this game. They weren't really a factor at all, So, I mean, I hate to say it like this, but for all things considered, they did a pretty decent job at just letting these guys play. Still don't like them though. They still screwed the Saints, but I completely suspended any thoughts or feelings or views that I had about Bill Vinovich and his referee, his referee team that he have out there. I just completely suspended it. I didn't care. I really didn't. Because like I said, I would have been upset every time that something happened. Like, for example, the what was that delay a game call that turned into a turnover. Man, the 49ers got screwed out of that one. I'm gonna be honest with you. They probably would have got a delay of game, but I guarantee you they would have took that instead of just getting the ball turned over. They'll take that any day. Couldn't we get Love in the 3rd round? I doubt that very highly. That guy is thought of to be the next Patrick Mahomes. And you watch Patrick Mahomes win a Super Bowl. So this dude's stock definitely gonna go up. You can compare it to a Super Bowl MVP and a league MVP. Man, I don't know, bro. I don't know. I mean, that ought to tell you all something right there. Like, come on, man. If this guy being compared to the next Patrick Mahomes, I mean, look what Patrick Mahomes has done over the last 2 seasons. So no, Jordan Love is a 1st rounder. He had a bad season, but he is and he will be taken in the 1st. He had a bad season because all of his offensive linemen were gone. He lost 4 starting offensive linemen and his coaching staff changed. He had 20 touchdowns, 17 interceptions because he didn't have time to throw the football. Now, you can sit up there and say, oh, man, 20 touchdowns, 17 interceptions, oh, this guy suck, all you want to. But you have to understand that Patrick Mahomes had a losing record in college as well, man. Sometimes it's not about the quarterback. It's not about what the guy does in college. Sometimes he just don't have the talent around him to be successful. But when the guy gets to the next level, he'll be able to really shine, especially if he goes to the right situation. And I think that if Jordan Love comes to New Orleans, I think he'll be in a perfect situation. And I think that a lot of people in the Who Dat Nation are going to be really excited when this guy comes through the door if the Saints draft him. Randy says, what do you think about the NFC Championship referee officiating the Super Bowl? Randy, man, that question came right on time because I just answered that. I didn't even think about it at all. Like, I wouldn't even think about those guys, man. I just wanted to sit back and watch the game. I'm gonna be honest with you. This was a good football game right here. You know, this was a game that was excited from the beginning to the end. It was some new it was just some new blood inside the Super Bowl, you know, a new matchup that we weren't used to. And you can just sit back and be a fan of the NFL. And I have an appreciation for that. I mean, would it have been better if the New Orleans Saints would have went to the Super Bowl? Absolutely. Man, I would have loved that. It would have made this Super Bowl a million times better than what it was. But, I mean, at the end of the day, I think we're all fans of the NFL. I mean, I don't think we just watch Saints games. I think we watch other teams play as well. So, I mean, I just sit back and I just watch football for the first time in a while as a fan. Because most of the time when I'm watching football, I'm watching because I'm trying to see different things and different strategies that other teams come up with. I'm also just watching because, you know, maybe the Saints have to play that team down the line. Maybe the team that are playing on TV, it affects the Saints in playoff positioning or something like that. So it was the first time in a while I actually watched the game as a fan. And I really enjoyed it, man. I really did. Let's see. That's cool. My girl is an EMT, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Shouts out to your girl, man. Man, shouts out to all the first responders out there. We need to clean the house with the receiving core besides Michael Thomas. I do think they need some changes, man. I think they need some changes. I think they need to get one guy free agency, and I think they need to draft a guy. And then, you know, you get Traquan Smith to go out there and battle for a job and see what he got. But the way things are going right now, it's looking a little rough, man. Michael Thomas needs some help. I mean, congratulations to him for winning Offensive Player of the Year. I mean, he did an outstanding job all season long, but this man needs some help. CJ Garner-Johnson is a beast. He can play close to the line. Yeah, he can play close to the line. I mean, he good on blitz. You know, you can put him in a zone. You can put him at safety. I mean, he's a really versatile player. He has good ball skills. And he's only going to get better, man. He's only going to get better as time progresses. I mean, he was real good in Florida, and that's one of the reasons why the Saints got him. And I like the guy. I mean, I think that the kid has a lot of talent, a lot of passion for the game. What do you think about Jalen Hurts and turning him into a Taysom Hill type player? Gerald, I actually like that. I like Jalen Hurts. At the Senior Bowl, I wasn't really impressed with him that much. I think that he needs to work on his decision making. I think he needs to work on his accuracy. You can probably have him as a gadget guy, but I don't know, man. Some guys don't want to be in that position. Some people just, you know, just want to play quarterback, and I think he's one of those guys. I think that he can have a bright future in the NFL, but man, he don't need to be a starter anyway. I think he needs to for like a year and see what he has in years. But he needs he has a lot of work to do. He has a lot of work to do. The Saints should be a run team, not a passing team. We have an O-line, great running backs, and we have a reliable third down receiver. All we need. Just get love and expect success for the next decade. Yeah, man, we definitely got to run the football more. But honestly, we sound like broken records as fans right now. I mean, the Saints have had an issue with running the football for I don't know how long. This has been an issue that has been plaguing this team for years. That and the lack of a defense. It seems like the defense is getting better, but it just seems like Sean Payton just wants to throw the football all over the place. Really does not have a passion for calling run plays. Would easily get away from the run if, you know, just completely impatient. And as long as the Saints are like this, you're going to continue to have problems. They're going to continue to have these type of problems, man. And honestly, it gets a little bit frustrating, to be honest. Let's see. Oh, man, this thing starts strolling pretty fast here. Hold on. Let's see. Big shout out to Mrs. Jones. Shout out to her. Thank God you're still here. Yeah, man. Man, my girl is incredible, man. 49ers fans still crying. Man, they should be. I mean, honestly, man, let's just look at this for what it is. I mean, your team gets all the way to the Super Bowl and they lose. I mean, that gotta be heartbreaking right there. I mean, but I will say this: they were talking a lot of trash in this game. You know, they thought for sure they was just going to go out there and just win this football game, and they just thought that they were just built different after they got that 10-point lead. Like the Chiefs were just going to lay down, and they didn't. And shouts out to Tyrann Mathieu, man, because Tyrann Mathieu was on the sidelines barking at the team, man, yelling at them boys, saying, man, we better than this. That's what you need, man. You need a guy that's going to be on the sidelines, you know what I'm saying, and getting in guys' face from time to time, you know what I'm saying, and expecting excellence out of these guys. And I think that kind of woke the team up. You need that spark, man. You need that level of passion. And you know, I think after that, they look like a completely different team. But, I mean, a 49er fan, man, I mean, I get it, man. You lose in the Super Bowl, that's tough. That's really, really tough. Shanahan blew another double digit, in the Super Bowl. We gotta look at him, man. We gotta start looking at him. Let's see. The Saints need to take a page out of 49ers book and run a football. It seems like Sean is allergic to it. Yeah, it looked like it. Like he allergic to something. You need to run the football more. I think the Saints, I think it was my brother that said this, they need to run the football at least 25 to 30 times a game. There ain't nothing wrong with that. That's how they're going to get success. You wear down a defense by running the football, and you control the time of possession. Let me see. Should we get Love or LaVisca Sendolt Jr.? Let's see. I get Jordan Love. I think LaVisca gonna be there. Or I think the Saints can possibly move up to get both of them. We all know that the Saints aren't afraid to be aggressive. We know that. We know that they're not afraid to move up and move some things around in order for them to get back into rounds and get players. So who knows? They called a push off on Kittle, but didn't on Rudolph in a wild card. Yeah, it be like that sometimes. Let's see. I got bit by a bat. How you do that? And where they got a bat at in Louisiana? Hey, TJ, I hate to say it, but I honestly think Sean Payton is putting on a smokescreen with Taysom Hill. I think he'll be gone this offseason for a high draft pick. If that's the case, then nah. Da. Hey, goodbye. If you can get a high draft pick on Taysom Hill, shoot, take it. I mean, I miss Taysom, but take it. You know, shoot. If you can set yourself up and you got yourself a quarterback that can take you into the future, and you feel like by trading Taysom, it would be the trick, why not? As a Saints fan, I'm not used to seeing a quarterback throw the deep ball, and Love arm power blew me away. Yeah, that boy can throw that ball, man. He can throw that football. Really good game. That delay game was shady, but otherwise it was a very well called game. Yeah, man, I was shocked. I mean, that game was good. Like they didn't get involved in this game. Man. I know it was a couple plays, man. You know they love their quarterbacks. I mean, they were allowing these quarterbacks, man, to get lit up. They was allowing these quarterbacks to get hit in the face. Like they did not want to get involved in this game at all. And I can appreciate that, man. I mean, this is a Super Bowl. Let the best team win. Sometimes, you're going to get a little aggressive. That's what it is. It's a copycat league, and teams will be looking for the next Mahomes or Taysom Hill or Lamar Jackson. Can't forget about Lamar now. We need a deep threat at receiver. Man, it's pointless to get a deep threat at receiver when you can't throw the ball more than 30 yards. It's pointless. I mean, you can have a guy with Tyreek Hill type speed, but how you going to get the ball? So got to think about that too, John Doe. I agree with what you're saying. They do need a deep threat, but they also need somebody that can throw the football to the deep threat. You get what I'm saying? Sandnote out of Colorado is good. Yeah, he is, man. He's a good kid. I think he'll fit in well with the Saints. Iceman said, let me see. I had a change of heart about Traquan Smith. It's not his fault. Sean puts him in spot duty. Traquan will be a Hall of Famer. Book it. I don't know about no Hall of Famer, Iceman, but I do feel like he can be he can be an integral role in the offense if Sean Payton allowed him to do so. I feel like Sean Payton kind of stunt this guy's growth, and I don't think that that's right. I feel like he's not where he needs to be because Sean Payton too busy trying to call plays for Kamara and Michael Thomas. Oh yeah, the Queefs whooped the 49ers in the Pooper Bowl. Chiefs messed up with them false farts, but the gas interference called helped them. Man, that's a lot of the real IB always comes through with fart jokes, or he likes to let us all know that he farted. But I appreciate the $5 donation, my friend. And also all of the poop references, very clever and witty. But at the end of the day, man, this was a really good Super Bowl, man. It's probably one of the best Super Bowls I've seen in a while. It looks good to see a quarterback throw it deep. It looks good, man. I mean, man, Patrick Mahomes, man, he threw that football to Tyreek Hill, man. That was a beautiful pass. He dropped it in there. It was a little bit of luck, if you ask me, but sometimes you need that, man. That reminded me, I'm going to be honest with you. That reminded me of that Saints 49ers game. You remember when the Saints were kind of beating up on the 49ers and Jimmy Garoppolo desperately threw the ball downfield to Emmanuel Sanders, and you had Marcus Williams, and I don't know who else was down there. It kind of looked like that same play. It looked like, it was just a last gasp or whatever. And that kind of started the 49ers back into the game. I feel like if he would have threw that ball up and one of those guys would have intercepted the ball, we probably would have had a different story, because we all know that the NFL and games are about momentum. Down the field, and they never look back after that. So sometimes, it's better to be lucky than good. And honestly, that pass right there kind of opened the floodgates. If we had to guess, TJ, if anyone, who do you think could be the next Saints player to get traded? The next Saints player to get traded. If I could, let me look and see. I would have to say the next Saints player that I can see getting traded would be Marcus Williams or Marcus Davenport. One or the other. I feel like one of those guys can end up getting traded. Now, you can say whatever you want to say about Marcus Davenport, but Marcus Davenport is a disruptor in the run game. I mean, this guy sets the edge, and I think Cam Jordan hit the nail on the head, man. He was in an interview, and he was talking about getting sacks, and he was talking about how he had more sacks than he had his entire career this season. And he said he had a conversation with Sheldon Rankins, and Sheldon Rankins says, I'm going to lead the league in TFLs, and which means tackles for loss. And Cam Jordan kind of snickered at him. He was like, yeah, you can lead this league in TFLs. He was like, yeah, you said, you'll be getting slaps on the butt and high fives in the locker room. He was like, but fans don't understand TFLs. He says fans understand sacks, which I thought was just very significant, because it's true, man. Because the thing is, we only look at guys for their sacks. We feel like if a guy isn't sacking a quarterback and putting up 20 sacks, then he didn't have a successful season, because sometimes that's all we understand as fans. I mean, when a guy can set the edge and he can get tackled for loss and nobody has a sack, okay, maybe he won't be able to get pressure on a quarterback like one of those elite pass rushers, but at the end of the day, he serves a huge role. And by Marcus Davenport being able to set the edge, and also a lot of people don't even realize this, man, this guy's ranked in the top 5 since he's been in the National Football League in tackles for loss. So even though this guy's not really getting to the quarterback or not having double-digit sacks, and I think he had 6 sacks this season, he's still out there making plays. So could I see the Saints possibly trading him? And do I possibly see a team trying to get him? Absolutely. And also Marcus Williams. I mean, Marcus Williams, the notorious knee tackler that he is, he still has elite ball skills. He's a ball hawk, and I think that teams feel like he can do something. And honestly, even if the Saints thinking about possibly not paying him, why not try to trade him and also, try to get something for him? So those are two guys that I feel like could be possibly on the trading block. Let's see. My thing is Love is the Apple turnover. We don't need another Jameis Winston in New Orleans infesting the city. Look, man, I mean, you had a lot of quarterbacks that used to turn the ball over in college, man, don't really do it no more. I mean, you look at what's the guy name? Josh Allen. Josh Allen used to turn the ball over at Wyoming quite a bit. Patrick Mahomes used to turn the ball over quite a bit at Texas Tech. I mean, you can't. I think we need to get away from thinking that the way the guy playing college is how it's going to dictate their pro career. That's not how it works. Sam Darnold was one of those guys that used to turn the ball over a lot too. I mean, I know he had that seeing ghost game, but he has gotten better. After that whole New England game, he started to turn the ball over less. And I mean, guys can improve. So and it has a lot to do with what is around those players. I mean, it's hard for a player, to generate certain type of success if you don't have players that can go out there and make plays. So I give guys like that, especially at smaller schools, I give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's see. What is that? Taysom can be just as good as Mahomes if Drew Brees don't block his growth in 2020. I don't think Drew Brees gonna block his growth, man. I think Drew Brees understands that time is winding up on his career. I think that Drew Brees understands that the Saints are going to have to continue to play, and I think that Drew Brees knows that he's going to have to shape and mold the next quarterback, to be ready when he decides to step down. So I don't think that Drew Brees is going to be that type of guy. I talked about that on the podcast as well. I think about back in 2005 when Aaron Rodgers went to the Packers and Brett Favre was still there. They said Brett Favre didn't tell Aaron Rodgers nothing, didn't want to be around him, didn't try to instill anything in him. He looked at him as a threat. I don't think that Drew Brees look at Taysom Hill as a threat. I think that he looks at him as being one of the future players on the team, and I think that Drew Brees does try to help Taysom make that transition. I don't think that Drew Brees is that type of player. If you were the Saints in free agency, who one player you would want them to sign in free agency? Just looking at like the list, to be honest with you, the only person I would want them to get Everson Griffin. I don't think Everson Griffin is going to get signed back with the Vikings. I think that you line him up alongside, Cam Jordan to have him in a rotation with Davenport. I think that you can generate a pass rush. I also think they need to get another wide receiver, probably like a Robbie Anderson or something like that. A guy like that. I would say AJ Green, but I just feel like AJ Green is over, the age of 30. I think they need a kind of a younger wide receiver. Also, I think what's his name, DJ Sharp out of the Tennessee Titans. I don't know if y'all remember that guy, but I think he's pretty good. I think he's also a free agent. He's the guy that was, I think he caught a touchdown. No, he didn't catch a touchdown pass, but he was a guy that I think C.J. Gardner-Johnson knocked the ball out and picked up the fumble. But this guy's like really good. I think he has a lot of potential. So somebody like that, man. I think the Saints need to, get someone like that. I think he'll be a good addition to the team. I don't think the Saints need to go out here and try to get no sexy pick at wide receiver. I mean, you already got your number one wide receiver. And if you get yourself another young wide receiver, you should be okay. And like I said, you get somebody like Sharp from the Tennessee Titans, or you get somebody like a Robbie Anderson or something like that, which Robbie is probably going to be asking for quite a bit of money. The Saints probably not going to want to give him that type of bread, but I think you get somebody like that, you should be okay. Let's see. Do you think Sean underachieved with Drew? I mean, I know we won a ring, but I'm saying one ring in 13 years, it screams underachiever. Yeah, absolutely underachieved, man. He wasted the glory years of Drew Brees. I mean, the prime of his career. I said that before. I think I said it on a podcast. I think he squandered Yeah, I think I did. I said it on the one where I was talking about Sean Payton. When I say he was in his feelings when he was on ESPN First Take, he definitely squandered Drew Brees' prime because he was so busy, keeping those same old sorry, pathetic defensive coordinators around and not trying to make the change. He didn't start making a change till around 2016. Then he started getting Mike Nolan, Aaron Glenn, and stuff like that. He was still messing around with Lombardi and Joe Vitt and all them other losers that was stunting to grow to the team. So definitely, he definitely wasted Drew Brees. Honestly, if the Saints would have ended up getting somebody like Jeff Ireland earlier as the head of scouting, the assistant GM, if they would have ended up getting him earlier, then who knows where they would have been. Probably would have won more on championships. But that's what Sean Payton is. Sean Payton is arrogant. He wants those guys to be around that he wants to be around, and he squandered a lot of years dealing with those same old guys that was messing with the growth of the New Orleans Saints organization. So yeah, he definitely did, to answer your question. Let's see. Strolling. I get a bid in Texas throwing out the damn trash and nip my neck. I don't know what that's all about. Sacks aren't everything. People thought Shaquille Griffith should have been top 3 in voting for Defensive Player of the Year, but all he had is sacks. Yeah. Sacks are important. Don't get me wrong. Anytime you can get down a quarterback, it's fine. But at the end of the day, you need to do more than that. You need to get the tackles for loss. Man, there's a guy that a lot of people, I don't know if he's in the Hall of Fame or not, but his name was Dexter Manley. Dexter Manley played for the Redskins, I think, back in the 80s. He was like a really good defensive player when it came to like getting pressure on the quarterback. But the thing about it is, in the run game, he suffered. He was one of those guys that when the Redskins used to go up against teams that used to run the football, Joe Gibbs, the head coach, used to take him out of the game because he couldn't stop the run. And they would run to his side and he would just get gashed. You know what I'm saying? The team would just get gashed because of him. So that's one of the reasons why I don't think he's in the Hall of Fame right now, because it raises the eyebrow like, oh, he's good. Oh, he can out there, he can perform, he can get the sacks, but it's more than that. Not only as a defensive man, you're supposed to, get pressure on the quarterback, but you got to be able to stop the run. And Marcus Davenport does a good job at that. I feel like if a guy can set the edge and stop the run, I think you can kind of mold him and to try to get pressure on the quarterback, because there's always different techniques guys can learn in order for them to get better. So I think because of how athletic Davenport is, setting the edge, I think it's a matter of time before he starts to develop. And honestly, man, for the first 2 years, he had better numbers than Cameron Jordan had in his first 2 years. So that's pretty impressive. Davenport was pretty good this season, had 6 sacks in 13 games. I just wish he can stay healthy. He was on the road versus the Panthers and Falcons. Yeah, man, and then messed up his foot, and rest is history. Marcus Williams is not a headhunter. We can't win with finesse. Yeah. Yeah, man, he just, I don't know. Can he play? Yeah. But it's just something missing about him. He just don't have an edge, man. I feel like a safety needs to have an edge, and I don't think he has one. The Jets had a 6-2 run. People forget that the Jets have a promising future if Adam Gase leaves. He just got there. TJ, if there was one thing you could change in Saints history, what would you change? Man, NFC Championship last year, of course. That's man, that was just so egregious. I definitely would change that. Man, I would change, like, honestly, if I could, I would wish that I can jump into the body of Tommy Lee Lewis in the NFC Championship game. And I'll tell y'all what I would do. If I was Tommy Lee Lewis, I think Tommy Lee Lewis could have saved the Saints season. And the reason why I say that is because Tommy Lee Lewis let his pride get in the way of what he could have done. You know, like when football players like take a big hit and they pop right back up because they don't want the defensive players to know they got the best of them. If I was Tommy Lee Lewis, if I can jump into his body, I would let Nikel Roby Coleman hit me and I would act like I was dead. That's what I would do. I would be out like this. They would have no choice but to throw the flag. Honestly, man, I would have took one for the team, especially if I'm not even a key component to the team's success. I mean, Tommy Lee Lewis, God bless him, but we all know that he wasn't a guy that got the ball a lot. So what I would have did was when Roby Coleman would have hit me, I would have acted like I was dead. Okay. And they wouldn't have had no choice but to throw a flag. I feel like the fact that he just popped right back up right after the play, it just made the referee's job much easier. I would have played dead. That's what I would have did. If I could change one thing in history, I would want to jump into the body of Tommy Lee Lewis so I can play dead. That's what I would do. I knew Pats was going to bring it home. Do you think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be traded? No, I don't, man. And honestly, Jimmy Garoppolo showed me something tonight. Jimmy Garoppolo showed me that he is a baller, man. He's a gamer. That's what he showed me tonight. I was really impressed with the way that Jimmy Garoppolo played. And honestly, if the 49ers would have won that game, he would have been Super Bowl MVP. He really played well. I think he answered a lot of – I mean, he hushed a lot of people up, man. It wasn't his fault that they lost this game. It wasn't, man. It was just some bad play calling down the stretch. Breeze should have had 4 rings. 06, I disagree. 09, I agree. 11, I agree. And 18, I give you 3 out of those 4. 2006, no, sir, nah. The Chicago Bears were a better football team than the New Orleans Saints in 2006 Invictus. The only thing about the Chicago Bears is they had questionable quarterback play out of Rex Grossman, but that defense was the truth. Lance Briggs, Brian Urlacher, guys like that, man, that was a good football team. And I think, in my opinion, I think the Saints overachieved in 06. I think they just overachieved. I mean, they was 10-6. And you know, a lot of people didn't really see them coming. 2011, that's kind of tough to say. But I'll give you that one. I think that was a really good football team they had. Just ran into them 49ers. It's not the Saints team. We just need to use our players more. It's not just Mike T on the field. Yeah, like I said, open up the playbook, man. Call some plays for some of these other players, man. Good guy, man. You forget these guys even out there. Sean Payton runs the football. Let me see. Shirts coming soon. Yeah, man. I'm trying to get these shirts. I had my graphic design guy to come up with a shirt. I didn't like the design that much. I had an idea for it. It didn't come out the way that I wanted it to. So the shirts that, you know, I asked them to redesign it again. So we're about to come out with these shirts coming real soon, man. Let's see. Jefferson for LSU alongside Thomas. Yeah. I would like that. Did the Niners get robbed? No, man, the Niners didn't get robbed. I think that this game was called pretty fair. That was a crazy game, bro. Yeah, it was. I thought it was exciting, man. Kept you on the edge of your seat. Was exciting from beginning to the end. I would fake injury. They would have thrown a flag at that point. That's exactly what I would have been saying. Yeah, man, I would have played dead. They would have thought I was dead out there. No Niners defensive was trash this game. I don't know about that, man. I think they played pretty good. Man. They was able to get pressure on Patrick Mahomes. He was kind of rattled throughout the game. He was confused. I mean, he missed a lot of passes, man. I think it had a lot to do with the way that the 49ers defense was playing him, man. He didn't see a defense like that all season. He even said it himself. Jimmy G trash. I disagree, man. Jimmy G was out there balling. He was making some throws out there, man. He made some good throws. Dude tried to throw the ball with 2 hands on. Well, I mean, he tried to throw the ball with 2 hands, man. That's because he was just trying to keep the play alive. You know what I mean? this the Super Bowl we talking about. So you're gonna see some uncharacteristic type stuff. So he'll just try to make a play. Let's see. Jimmy G almost broke Drew Brees' Super Bowl completion percentage record. He was really good. Yeah, man, he played good. I don't see why anybody. I don't see why nobody, think that he played bad. Man, Jimmy G was out there balling. That man was out there answering a lot of unanswered questions about him. Sean Payton is not going to change his thinking. Somebody has got to have to make him run the football. Well, good luck with that. I give them props, the 49ers, for at least being in the Super Bowl. Yep. Do you think this is a start of a dynasty in KC? Nope. No, I do not. I don't. I think if they would have ended up playing against the Baltimore Ravens, they probably wouldn't even won his foot. He probably wouldn't even won. Let's see. You're a hater, brother. What's your team? The Saints should get a Super Bowl after 17 years ago. Jimmy Garoppolo was good. I think if the defense would have stepped up just a little, he could have won. He was way better tonight than any other game. Yeah. The Chiefs, they had the Chiefs shook. Yeah, I mean, their defense was good, man. They had them on the edge of their seat, man. I mean, it was just, I don't know. Patrick Mahomes looked dazed and confused. He made the throws when it mattered most, but this definitely wasn't one of his best games. I mean, he looked average at best, in my honest and humble opinion. But this has been the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you all very much for your comments. I really do appreciate that. Super Bowl 54, man. Very, very exciting football game. Rather you're a fan of the Kansas City Chiefs, San Francisco 49ers, which I know if you're following the State of the Saints, most likely you're not. But I know you're probably a fan of the NFL. This has been an outstanding football game, a breath of fresh air, new faces, new teams in the Super Bowl. Tired of seeing them Belichick's and the Brady's up in that thing. But I mean, now it's the end, man. It's all over. It's over, man. The season is over. Now we can look forward to the 2020 season, and the New Orleans Saints. They got a lot of work to do in this offseason, man. A lot of guys need to be re-signed. A lot of young players need to get those big contracts. So the Saints are going to have to make some tough decisions. We don't know the future of Drew Brees just yet. The question is being asked, will Drew Brees return? Who will be his successor? If he does not return, will Teddy Bridgewater return? Will Taysom Hill be the back? Will he be the starting quarterback? Will the Saints draft a quarterback? Will the Saints get a wide receiver in the first round? Will they get a quarterback in the first round? So many unanswered questions, but we're going to be right here covering it. We're going to be talking New Orleans Saints all season long. We're going to continue to have live shows at least once a week talking about the New Orleans Saints. It's probably going to be some, very dry, and news is going to be few and far in between, but we're definitely going to be talking about Drew Brees as long as he hasn't come up with his decision to continue his career or retire. So I'm looking forward to talking in the off season. I'm going to continue to make videos. We're going to do in March, we're going to break down the worst cornerbacks in Saints history. And just like the March Madness brackets, we're going to have the cornerback brackets, and we're going to break down the worst cornerbacks in Saints history. Okay, we're going to break down the worst cornerbacks in Saints history. All right. And so we're going to break it down bracket style. We're going to have these guys go up against one another, and we're going to compare them. And then we're going to, reveal the worst cornerback in the history of the New Orleans Saints. So keep it locked right here for that. But thank you all very much. And please, once again, subscribe to the State of the Game podcast, the new podcast that is a spinoff of the State of the Saints. YouTube.com, search the State of the Game podcast. You got to put the State of the Game podcast in order for you to pull up the channel. Thank you all very much once again for your love and your support. And looking forward to discussing the New Orleans Saints, all the way to the beginning of the 2020 season and beyond. Till next time, all I have to say is, who dat? Good night, everybody.